I am Ann Dobson. My name is Anna Grace, and we work at the Tennessee Justice Center. We are going to talk to you a little bit about the different programs that we work with here. So WIC, SNAP, and TennCare. Oh my goodness. If I can figure out how to switch. Okay. So I'm our partnership and outreach coordinator here, or WIC partnership and outreach coordinator here. And I work as the WIC referral and data specialist. So like Ann Dobson said, TJC helps with a variety of things. One of those is specifically WIC, and Ann Dobson and I make up the WIC team. Yes. And apologies that this is not orienting very well. I'm so sorry about that. That should say agenda. Okay, so just to kind of give you an overview, today we're going to kind of tell you a little bit more about the Tennessee Justice Center and the work that we do, and then we'll give you what we call our WIC 101 and help just kind of go through what the WIC program is and eligibility. We currently have a survey about it as well that we'll talk about, and then we'll do the same thing for SNAP and TennCare. And if you have questions at any time, feel free to just unmute yourself. It's very informal. Just let us know if we can explain something better. Okay, I'm so sorry.
Did your volume just go down by any chance? All of a sudden, I can barely hear you. Might be me. Wait a minute. Talk again.
Is any better?
It is a little better. Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. We'll speak extra loud. Yeah. But let us know if something changes and we trail off and you don't understand what we say, or we need to speak louder again. Okay, so what we can do here at TJC, we help with SNAP. So the SNAP program provides money to families to buy food, formerly called food stamps. WIC is a nutrition program for pregnant and postpartum people, infants, and children up to age 5. And then TennCare is Medicaid public health insurance. And then we also do some independence work, which is specifically supporting seniors and people with disabilities. Okay. And I think it's important to note that, like, you know, what TJC does, with all of these programs, we have caseworkers that help individuals connect to, whether it be SNAP, TennCare, or WIC, but also specifically in the instance of TennCare and SNAP, when clients are running into issues and lots of red tape, and it would be helpful for more people to be involved than just the client, or it's outside of their expertise. TJC has a team of caseworkers and then even attorneys that sometimes get involved in these situations. And so if you all are ever encountering families, or you yourself could use assistance, or, you know, want some help working through some of the problems that sometimes present themselves while trying to access these programs, TJC is a great resource for that. Okay. So the first thing we're going to go through is the WIC program. And like we said, this is what we do here at TJC. So we have lots of slides to kind of run through exactly what WIC is. So it's formerly called the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children. Like I said, it's a nutrition health support program specifically for pregnant and postpartum people and infants and children up to age 5. So it's similar to SNAP in the sense that it is an EBT card with money to help you buy nutritious foods. What's really unique about WIC is that you get nutrition education and counseling with a nutritionist, a WIC nutritionist. They also provide breastfeeding education and support, and then they can refer you out to other health and social services as well. So there are 4 different pieces to determining someone's eligibility for WIC. And we're going to kind of go through these 4 in grave detail over the next few slides. But the first is categorical. The second, your income level. You have to prove that you live in the state of Tennessee. And then the last piece is something called nutritional risk. So we'll start with categorical. I think oftentimes, you know, if someone has a limited knowledge of WIC, they could probably pretty easily name in their head who they think might be eligible for WIC, women, infants, and children. But we really like to draw out the pieces of the eligibility that aren't obvious by the name of WIC. And so obviously WIC targets individuals that are pregnant or postpartum or breastfeeding. That window can vary a little bit after they give birth to the child. So if you are postpartum but not breastfeeding, you would be eligible for WIC for 6 months. If you are postpartum and breastfeeding, then you have 1 year of WIC eligibility. And that's just for the pregnant person. That doesn't include the eligibility for the child. And so then also children under the age of 5 are eligible for WIC. In addition to the people giving birth to the children, primary caregivers are all eligible for WIC, based solely on behalf of the child. So they could never receive the benefits that the birthing parent would. But if they have a child in their care under the age of 5, that could be a grandparent, an aunt or uncle, single fathers, foster parents, the whole list. Anyone that is caring for a child under the age of 5, you don't even have to have like a specific custody agreement. You could be receiving WIC on behalf of the child in your care. And then last, but certainly not least, we really like to highlight WIC is one of the few nutrition safety net programs that does not have any sort of immigration or citizenship requirements. And so you could have arrived to the United States yesterday with absolutely no papers to your name, and you could enroll in WIC the very next day. And so this is a really important safety net program for the immigrant community. The next piece of WIC eligibility is the income. And so in fancy terms, it's 185% of the federal poverty line or less that your household has to be making. So for example, that's, just shy of $55,000 for a family of 4. And if you'll notice at the very top of the WIC eligibility guidelines to the left of the screen, you'll notice that it's effective through June 30th, 2024. So coming up here in July, these will be updated slightly for inflation. But the really important piece about the eligibility of WIC is that if you're enrolled in SNAP, TANF, or TennCare, all of those programs have the same percentage of the federal poverty line that makes you qualify for it. WIC is actually allows a higher income threshold. So if you're enrolled in SNAP, TANF, or TennCare, you automatically are income eligible for WIC. And so oftentimes individuals who are enrolled in SNAP or TennCare can use that benefit card or benefit statement from SNAP to prove that they're income eligible for WIC. But I think when we're talking about that, it's important to talk about this like middle section right here. So, you may not be eligible for SNAP, TANF, or TennCare. Say you fall above that federal poverty line, you could still fall below the WIC federal poverty line. And so just because you're not eligible for those other safety net programs, you may very well still be eligible for WIC. The next piece of eligibility is Tennessee residency. So each state has a slightly different WIC program. I mean, it's more or less the same, but it's run by the state, and therefore they want you to participate in their state WIC program. And so if you live in Tennessee, I'm just sorry, looking at the chat. If you live in Tennessee, you have to enroll in Tennessee's WIC, not Kentucky's, not Alabama's. And so that's a piece of proving whether or not you're eligible for WIC. And so there's a variety of ways that you can do that. It could be as simple as a driver's license. You could show a piece of mail. Say you're living in a multiple family unit household and your name is not on the bills and it's not on the lease. Then the person who does have their name on those materials could provide a letter to WIC stating that, X person and their family live in their household despite their name not being on the bills. And so we put this last bullet here highlighting the fact that in practice it can vary because there are lots of different options for proving the residency and lots of different circumstances in which you would need to prove residency. And so WIC really does their best to work with individuals to help them show that they live in the state of Tennessee. And then once again, we'll highlight here that you don't have to have citizenship. I think sometimes, residency can be a term used describing someone's immigration status, and we never want someone to be confused that a residency is an immigration status in this specific instance, just showing that you live in Tennessee. Okay. And then the last piece of eligibility is whether or not you or the children would be at nutritional risk. And because WIC is known as a science-based program and it has very specific food packages that target the pregnant, postpartum and growing and developing child, they like to measure the nutritional risk. And the nutritional risk could be as simple as that. You are pregnant or you're a 2-year-old, that it's important to have access to milk so that you can grow healthy bones. Other examples include smoking, or you don't eat enough vegetables, or too much dessert. And so basically, at the end of the day, we all have some level of nutritional risk. And so it would never be a reason that someone is denied WIC benefits, but it is something that when you are enrolling in WIC and becoming certified to receive your benefits, that they will ask about and measure. So the next thing that we like to highlight is the WIC food packages. And we've referenced this a couple of times, but some of you may be familiar with SNAP. And there is some level of confusion because WIC and SNAP in some ways have a lot of similarities, but in the specific package or benefit that you're given between the two programs, it varies pretty drastically. And so because WIC is targeting a very specific audience, the food packages reflect that. And so if you are a pregnant mother and a 2-year-old child, your packages that you're going to receive from WIC are vastly different. And therefore, there can be some confusion in a grocery store about, what you may be WIC eligible for and able to purchase. But when you enroll in WIC, you are given a very specific package of food. And so you can see over here on the left side, for children ages 1 through 4, they're given a specific quantity of good. So, 1 dozen eggs and 2 pounds of whole wheat bread, whereas the food package for an individual who is just postpartum but not breastfeeding, those amounts will vary some. But what's really specific about WIC is that it's not a dollar amount that you are receiving like you are in SNAP. You receive, like this shows, a very specific list of quantities of product that you can purchase, brands of products that you can purchase, regardless of the price of the product. The only thing that is a cash value benefit is what is used for purchasing fresh or frozen fruits or vegetables. And actually, just in the past week, the USDA has passed a new rule on this. And so you'll see here the row that highlights fruits and vegetables and the cash value vouchers. That's actually incorrect now. The value went up, which we're really excited about. But now children receive $26 a month to use for fresh fruits and vegetables, and pregnant and postpartum individuals receive $44 to $49. And so that's a huge increase to what was originally allotted in the WIC food package. Okay. Are there any questions before we keep trucking along? Okay. All right. Okay, so just to kind of give you a snapshot at the benefits of WIC, the goal of the nutrition safety net programs are, of course, to help alleviate poverty and reduce food insecurity. So, supporting economic stability, those are, the reason that these programs are created. What's unique about WIC, and we've hit on this many times, is that it targets the pregnant and postpartum person and young children. So it's really meant to improve birth outcomes and help reduce healthcare costs down the road, improve dietary intake. Lots of research out there showing that moms on WIC have more likely to have a full-term birth, and their children are more likely to be, measuring at the average height and weight for their age when they are on WIC and getting some extra nutritional support. So that is the point of WIC and why it was created. And you may or may not have young children in your care, and so this might not be as relevant for you, but perhaps you have friends and family with young children. And so anyone we can encourage to sign up for WIC, we are always doing that. So, okay. So part of my job as the WIC referral and data specialist is that I help connect people to WIC. And so sometimes I think looking at WIC very black and white, it can seem quite simple to enroll in. There's not a confusing application that you have to fill out. You just have to visit your WIC office and they take your measurements and you prove your 4 pieces of eligibility, and then boom, you get your WIC card. But obviously we know that things don't always happen as easily as they may seem. There can be language issues, there can be transportation issues, there can be difficulty pulling together the papers to show the different proofs that WIC requires. And so that's when TJC could potentially come to help. So for starters, each WIC office has a each county has a WIC office. Oftentimes that's located in the health department. Sometimes it's outside of that. But this first link that we have here in the first bullet actually takes you to a list of WIC county offices across the state. It provides their address, their fax number, and their phone number. And so that is a great place to start when trying to connect someone to WIC, is just to call the WIC office directly. But sometimes that doesn't work as planned if, you don't speak English as your first language, or you work a 9 to 5 and then therefore can't get in, be able to call the WIC office while they're open. That could be when you would call TJC and we could kind of help do a soft handoff between you and the WIC office. And so anyways, my emails here will be included in the follow-up. If you encounter any individuals that are having trouble connecting to WIC, please feel free to shoot me an email. Part of the work that Ann Dobson and I are doing, and if we had tons of time to talk just about WIC, we would get into this, but WIC is an extremely underutilized program in Tennessee. And so just a little over a third of families that are eligible for WIC in Tennessee are actually using it. And so there's a large percentage of people that are eligible for WIC and for whatever reason are not participating in the program. And so we've created a survey that is really trying to dig at that. Not only why people aren't participating in WIC, but what is the experience of those that are participating in the program? And so if you yourself are WIC eligible and have decided not to participate, or know individuals that have chosen not to participate or are participating and have certain types of feelings or opinions about WIC, we would love for you to point them to our survey so that they can plug those into hopefully individuals that can communicate that to the state. We've got a great relationship with the state WIC office, and fortunately get to be the eyes and ears to to understand better how people are actually experiencing the program so that we can communicate it to the powers that be. And so in any way that it would be helpful, you are more than welcome to take or share the survey with anyone you think might have something to share. Okay, but let's just back up really quickly. Before we move on to SNAP and TennCare, any questions about WIC and eligibility, getting connected, what the program is? Okay. All right, so we'll move on to SNAP then. So SNAP is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, formerly called food stamps. SNAP is a federal government program providing nutritional assistance. Eligible participants will receive money on an EBT card to purchase food each month. Okay, so this is a lot of words. I apologize. We had our SNAP caseworker gave me all this information, and I just wanted to keep it exactly as she gave it, so we didn't tell you anything wrong. So the first thing that you have to do for eligibility is they'll look at your household size. So you'll have to report the number of people living in your house and buying food together. You'll then report your proof of income. So any money you earn, including cash assistance, Social Security, unemployment, and child support. And then they'll look at your gross versus your net income. You then will have to do a proof of resources. So this is money in your checking or savings accounts and any cash that you have. And then they will look at job requirements. Eligible adults without dependents are required to work at least 20 hours a week unless they have an exemption. Those exemptions being that they are under 18 years old, if you have a disability, if you are homeless, a veteran, or pregnant. So this is just a quick snapshot at what the SNAP program requires of you to apply. Then you will also look at your deductions. So you will tell them your shelter expenses, what you pay in rent, mortgage, property taxes. You'll tell them what your utility expenses are each month, any medical bills that you have, and sorry, I'm reading this and I'm realizing I'm not quite sure what that bullet point means.
It just means in order to count your medical bills in the deduction
Oh, thank you.
calculator, you have to either have a disability or be over 60 years old.
Okay, thank you. And you would count also any unpaid medical expenses from the last 12 months as well. And then finally, childcare expenses can also be counted in deductions. So any type of babysitting, daycare fees can be considered as well. Okay. Any questions on the eligibility or deductions when you submit a SNAP application?
And not that we would even be the best to answer those, but we could certainly find the people
Yeah.
to answer your questions.
Okay. So the other thing about SNAP that is different from WIC is that they do have immigration requirements. So you either need to be a United States citizen or be an immigrant with lawful permanent residency or a green card. However, if you have an LPR status or a green card, there is a 5-year waiting period before you can start using SNAP. So the caveat to that is that if you are a minor and you're under 18, you don't have to wait the 5 years before you can start using SNAP. Additionally, most asylees and refugees don't have waiting periods. Cuban and Haitian entrants don't have a waiting period either. The unique thing about SNAP is that mixed households can apply. And so if you have individuals in your household who are US citizens or are past that 5-year waiting period, they can apply and they would be able to receive SNAP for the number of people in the house who do have some type of citizenship status. So a little bit complicated, makes the SNAP program a little bit trickier to navigate, and part of what makes WIC so easy is because they just don't ask about this at all. So anyway, just want you to have this information as well. Any questions on SNAP? I believe, oh, one more slide on SNAP. Okay, so the next thing is if you're interested and you think you're eligible and you want to get on SNAP, you can submit your application online at your local Department of Human Services office or by mail. They will then ask you to send verifications of all of those documents that we had just discussed, and then they will call you for a phone interview. After the phone interview, you will either receive approval or rejection. This should happen within 30 days. And then if you're approved, you'll get an EBT card in about a week. So that is how SNAP should work. A couple things important to know is that SNAP is currently experiencing quite a backlog. And so we're hearing that people are waiting a lot longer than just 30 days to get on the program. So where we come into play is that if you are struggling to make you're struggling to send in your verifications, you are having a hard time having your phone interview, they keep calling you at the wrong time. They say they've lost your documents. They don't provide you your approval or rejection within 30 days, anything like that. That is where we want to help and we want to be made aware of that. And so that's an instance where you can call the Tennessee Justice Center and our SNAP caseworker would work with you to figure out what's going on and help kind of mediate those problems and talk to DHS and advocate that you get processed and determine if you're eligible or not. So, okay. On to TennCare. So this is our last slide. So, or our last subject. TennCare, as you might know, is health insurance. It's Medicaid in Tennessee. And so here at the Tennessee Justice Center, we provide a lot of support helping families navigate Medicaid and CHIP. Like I just said, Medicaid's called TennCare in Tennessee and provides medical costs for low-income Tennesseans. CHIP in Tennessee is called Cover Kids, so it's specifically for children and pregnant people in Tennessee. And a unique thing about Cover Kids is that you can get Cover Kids regardless of immigration status if you are pregnant and meet the income. And so sorry about that typo right there. The other interesting thing is that we've got a partnership with some other organizations that have created a paid family caregiver resource hub. And so I want to link that here. I'll send that to Breon too in the follow-up in case you're interested in reading more about that. They are planning to host focus groups soon to speak with caregivers, and the conversation will be about advocating that Medicaid pays caregivers for their services. So that might be of interest to you, and so there'll be a little bit more information at that link, and then some focus groups as well. And then if you are interested in connecting to TennCare, you are welcome to call the Tennessee Justice Center. We will help you screen if you are eligible. We'll also do our own internal screening and figure out if we think you're eligible for SNAP or WIC as well. Then we can assist you in applying for the program. And if you're if you are rejected, I am so sorry. I'm reading the comments. If you're rejected, we can assist you with an appeal as well. Any questions on SNAP, WIC, TennCare, applying? I saw a comment, let me see if I can go find it again, about independence. And so just to kind of circle back to the independence part, what we mean with independence is that we have some caseworkers here who specifically help connect older individuals and people with disabilities to TennCare. So that's what independence means. There's not a slide just about that program. It's just that it's all about TennCare and health insurance, but we've got some people who solely work with older individuals and disabled. So.
Any questions? That was a lot of information, so hopefully no questions means we delivered it well, and not that it was so much you don't even know what to ask about.
All right. Let's see if I can find. Okay. So that's all we have for you today. If you need assistance with any of these programs, or you have friends or family that do, you're more than welcome to give us a call or visit us at our location. We're in South Nashville. So either way, we're happy to help you. Our services are free of cost, and if you're eligible, we want to help you get connected. Oh, yes. So you have a question?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any way that, all right, obviously, I'd like to know how to get freaking paid, because he's 24/7, 365 days, and there ain't nothing. Well, some respite from, TRC, but, is there any way, beings that, my work ability is, I can't leave him. I got no place for him to go. Is there any way, because of his disability, that I somehow could get TennCare medical also?
It's a great question. Yes, we're not the experts on TennCare, but I was listening to a presentation yesterday about a program within TennCare called Katie Beckett, and you may be very familiar with that, because that may be the TennCare that your child is receiving right now. No,
He's
you're
not
not
a
familiar.
child.
Okay, not a child. Okay.
He's 43 years old. He
Okay,
acts
okay,
like
gotcha.
he's 2, but he's 43.
Okay.
Okay.
But what do you think, Beckett?
So it's called Katie Beckett, and I don't want to say anything that's incorrect, and so take what I say with a grain of salt and then call TJC so someone can give you more information. But I know that Katie Beckett is the program that is specifically created for individuals that have the opportunity. I guess the history of Katie Beckett is there was a patient in Iowa. I learned this yesterday, so I'm sharing my fun facts. That was going to be basically institutionalized because she needed so much care, but she could have been cared for at home by her family, and that would have cost the state a lot less money. And so that required that, suddenly the federal government was like, oh my God, well, if you do take the child home, that does cost us less money. And so they passed the Katie Beckett program. And so I don't know if he would fall into the category of like potentially having.
No, he's covered. He's got
Okay.
everything.
You're
It's
asking
you.
about you
Okay.
It's
specifically.
me.
Okay.
Me.
My suggestion would be call us and talk to our intake specialist,
Okay, can I have
and
your phone
they'll
number?
right here on the screen.
Oh, duh.
You see it?
Yeah.
That will be, like Anna Grace said, we are WIC experts, not so much TennCare and SNAP. So
Okay.
calling us would be the easiest thing. You'll talk to our intake specialist, and then they will screen you and help answer your questions. I don't know if you have interest in SNAP at all, but there is the work exemption if you have a disability. So I think perhaps your
Yes, we
son
do.
could
We
get
get
SNAP.
some SNAP. We
Oh,
do.
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would give us a call and talk to our intake specialist, and he can give you a little bit more information than we can.
Okay.
That would be my suggestion. Anyone else with any questions?
I just want to say thank you guys for coming through for us
Yeah,
and
thank you.
being our first presentation for Teaching Tuesday.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank
and
you.
It was awesome, and I know the caregivers that we send this out to will appreciate it a lot too as well. So thank you guys for y'all's time.
Awesome. Well, I'll send you our flyers about WIC, SNAP, and TennCare, so you all can have that as well. And it just has our phone number on it more times, and a little bit more information about each of these programs. So hopefully, that'll help explain. And you're more than welcome anytime to give us a call or come to our office. Either way, we're happy to help with any of these programs. Thank you.